Good afternoon, Toastmasters. Today I'm going to tell two stories. One for kids, one for us. Cartoon squirrel was living in a small park along with its family. Lot of other animals also lived with it. Some rats, some butterflies, centipedes, millipedes, birds. So many people lived together in that small park. One day they heard huge noise. They didn't know what was happening. It was the biggest rat who found what was happening. It was humans have decided to destroy the park and build some parking lot. All the animals were agitated. See, birds need trees to build a nest, and rats need soft mud to dig their burrows. Where will they go now? All the people who lived nearby that forest were rehabilitated. They were all moved to a different place. But what will happen to these animals? This was a story I was reading to my son, and I was taken aback. Yeah, every time something like this happens, we always relocate humans. But who is relocating these animals? Then the story goes on, and all the squirrels, they find a way to escape to the forest. All of them go to, they all use their brains and find some ways to escape to the forest. This is a happy ending story for all the kids who cannot understand the reality and cannot digest the reality. Now, a story for the adults who can really understand the situation. Recently, I read that Yadurappa government has denotified around 5,000 square kilometers of land, forest area for mining. Where are these mining areas? These are all distributed in all the districts of Karnataka. Some are in Shimoga, Chikmagalur, Hassan, Mysore, even Bangalore, Bellary. So in all these districts, they have denotified around 5,000 square kilometers of land for mining. Well, how much is 5,000 square kilometers? Bangalore is around 741 square kilometers. So it's little more than that. So that huge land is getting denotified, and people are allowed to mine in those areas just because this gives revenue to them. This gives money to them. So I was thinking, how much land, how much forest area do we really have in our Karnataka to destroy like this? It's around 38 square kilometers, which includes open area also. So in this 38 square kilometers, this is 20% of the Karnataka area, and compared to India average, each state on an average has around 23% of the forest area, and we are already much behind this average. And prescribed is 33% of the forest area. The forest policy says every state should have at least 33% of the forest area, and we are already much below the average, the prescribed value, and we are going to destroy this. So then, okay. What happens if we keep destroying like this? Can we keep the forest in bits and pieces? What happens when we destroy all these forests like this? Because this includes the tiger area also. This includes core forest area also. So when we divide the forest like this in bits and pieces, it creates an island of forest. And there are some species which are already very few in number in all these forests. When you divide the forest like that, they lose the contact with other species of the same species, and they cannot grow any longer. They all become isolated, and the species will not continue at all. So this is the biggest threat. So what some study has found that, see, there is 100 hectares of land. If you destroy that 100 hectares of forest by 10%, 30% of the species will get destroyed. So if you destroy it by 15%, 40% of the species will be destroyed. So in short, if the amount of forest that gets destroyed is definitely not according to the species that gets destroyed. The number of species that get destroyed every time you reduce the forest is much higher when you compare to the amount of forest that is getting destroyed. So they do something called corridor. They have this corridor, and they make sure that this corridor exists between two forests. But still, this corridors are small areas, which connects to narrow areas connecting to forest. But still, this corridor is created keeping certain species in mind. All the species will not get to move from one forest to the other in the ideal way, and most of the species die in this thing. And the other important thing is, thanks to all our love for forest, our love for forest is converted to resort business. Lot of resorts are coming up in and around the forest, and mostly they come near these corridors, because that's where you can see lot of animals crossing from this forest to that forest, so animal sighting will be more. So once you create all the resorts around these corridors, the animals will get affected even more. So this way, lot of animals, including tigers, which are already very few in numbers in our forest, are getting destroyed. So Supreme Court has already made very clearly in various rulings that it has given. It has clearly stated that any legislative power cannot destroy these forests, cannot denotify the forest and start mining. But our ministers have gone on record saying state can do anything until it adds to the state coffers. How much money is adding to the state? Are we really adding value by mining in the forest? We know that the royalty all these miners pay to the government remains same from the days when the iron ore was costing around 150 rupees per ton. Now it's around 3,000. They're still paying the same royalty, but they're excavating more. So this denotification of 5,000 area is just the legal thing that is happening. Illegally, there's a lot of encroachment happening, lot of other kinds of mining and other development projects, so-called development projects are happening. So every time we undertake this kind of a development, we find a replacement to the human beings. But why are we not doing it for the human beings? That's simply because our Mother Earth is not as ambitious as us. It doesn't grow like our ambitions, our greed. So there's only very little space which is there, and if we have to develop, we have to kill all those animals. So is this fair? What we are doing is really horrible to the animals. And I was I'm sure even those miners and politicians who are doing all these things have children and grandchildren. I really wonder what those grandchildren will export after 100 years, maybe 50 years. They say when the Beijing is building, our Bellary is bleeding. And also, they say the Bellary will be just like our Hampi in another few years, a ruin. Thank you.